What's going on, wrestling fans? It is IC Fall, and welcome to the show. On today's edition, I'm talking to a man who's been traveling around the world raising money for soft ground wrestling. It's Mason Madden. How are you doing today?
How's it going? Good to talk to you again.
I know, it's a pleasure. And what you've been up to since the last time we talked was you raised, and here's the tally, $28,731.89 for soft ground wrestling. According to Mansour's Twitter account, this allows 6 months of food, beds and mosquito nets, a van to take them on tour, an extension of their lease, and a storage unit for a wrestling ring. What inspired you to do all this? You have more numbers?
No, the more impressive number is what that is in Ugandan shillings, which is their unit of currency. It's 108 million Ugandan shillings.
Wow.
Which is why it's going to go to be able to do so much.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was doing some math in my head. I'm thinking, like, I don't know how this all works out, but hey, they got some stuff and he raised some money. But wow, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, and it's all thanks to the fans, the people who joined us on the stream, and some very generous donations from Mansour's mom, who made a very generous donation to pay it forward for a van that she got when she was a kid. And no, we are over the moon, and so are they. We've been talking to the soft ground guys back and forth all week, and they're so excited. It's like life-changing money.
That is life-changing money, certain because the currency, when you bring that up, especially. But it's amazing what you're doing. And what inspired you to do this? Because I know you and Mensa were there, had a great performance. We all saw us on Twitter. I interviewed about it. But yet now you're more involved than ever. So what inspired you to do this?
So the initial plan was always to do some sort of fundraising thing, even before we had decided that we wanted to actually go out there. There was originally a version of this trip that had us kind of doing a fundraiser to even go in the first place. We kind of thought better to make it a big surprise. So, but we still wanted to do the fundraiser, especially after actually going there, seeing the people on the ground, getting to know those kids, and seeing exactly what they needed. So, we just had this idea of, man, it's so easy to start a fundraiser in 2024 now, especially with our Twitch audience, with our friends' audiences, and we figured we have a very unique opportunity to bring the entire wrestling world together in a way. We had guys from AEW, WWE, independents, just general internet personalities, all on the stream, all coming together to help these people, and it really came together and it worked out.
That's incredible. That is incredible. And again, were there names on the list to be on your fundraiser stream too that couldn't show up or maybe wanted to but didn't have the time? Because I saw a lot of great names on that list and I saw the stream as well. But man, was there someone you were calling or they were calling you and it just didn't work out?
Yeah, there were lots of, unfortunately, we streamed during Raw. So we had a lot of friends that were on Raw that couldn't exactly make it in. Dijak, luckily, wasn't busy, or luckily or unluckily, but he wasn't busy during Raw, so he called from backstage. But, just based on gathering a bunch of people, as soon as we threw out a wide net of, hey, if you want to come Monday, we're going to be doing this. If you want to just call in, here's the Zoom link. As simple as that. So yeah, there were plenty of people that we would have loved to have join us. Kofi Kingston offered us some very kind words, but he couldn't make it, obviously. And a lot of people. But even still, if they couldn't make it, a lot of them still donated after the fact, which helped us get to that fantastic number.
Yeah, if I'm correct, according to numbers, Xavier Woods dropped down $1,000.
He did, yes. Mustafa Ali donated $2,000. There's a few other big donations like that that wanted to keep it on the low, but a lot of people helped.
That's outstanding. And, we talked before about your travel nightmares heading back home from soft ground wrestling. But again, the inspiring story that you're bringing out there, has there been talk of you returning to soft ground wrestling?
We've been in communication. One of the good things about this is the money that we've gotten is going to provide them with a shed, which will allow them to store a ring. So when they when they are inevitably able to get that ring, we've talked about going over there to help them and show them how to set it up. That's a whole nother, can of worms that has to be opened. So we shall see. But I think the beauty of our first trip is that the forbidden door has been opened. A lot of people have been there since, and more people are even planning to go. I think Will Ospreay is planning on going, or maybe they think he's going. So, we're not the only ones now, and I think it's great for them. They love the experience of interacting with wrestlers from outside of Africa, from with experience and who can teach them things. And at the end of the day, it gets them more eyes and it gets them more opportunities, which I think is great.
Man, I so awesome of you to do this, and so awesome for you to be traveling around the world doing this as well. Because we talked about it before a long time ago, but in my book, when hearing the story of your nightmare of a travel back home, what's worse, getting that F5 from Brock Lesnar through a table, or the travel nightmare of coming home?
I'd take a million F5s through a table than waiting 12 hours in the Dubai airport for my next flight. That's for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, then the pain of an F5 through a table is not compared to sitting 12 hours in an airport. Wow. That's unfortunate. I see you have a little visitor back there as well.
Yeah, Ari's got school in a couple hours, but we hang out in the mornings, and she's very happy that I'm home. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, because again, 12 hours in an airport sounds awful. I only slept in an airport once for like 4 hours, but 12, that is a long time.
What I became really acquainted with were minute suites, like those little pods that you can basically sleep in for a couple of hours at certain airports. Especially in the Middle East, they have a lot of them, and we were able to utilize that a couple of times, and especially because a lot of those flights were overnight. Our sleep schedules were all thrown off, so it was kind of just grab and sleep wherever we could. So those worked out real nice.
Oh man, before we really didn't dive into it as much, but with Retribution working with Bray Wyatt, do you have any Bray Wyatt stories? Because I went to WrestleMania, I was at the panel watching everyone share amazing Bray Wyatt stories. Do you have a Bray Wyatt story?
So we had the honor of working a very cool angle with him. It was one of the cooler things. I mean, you can count on one hand all the cool things Retribution did, but it was one of the cooler things that Retribution got to do was working with Bray and Alexa. There was a comic book movie moment where they were standing in the ring like Joker and Harley Quinn holding hands, and then Retribution, the lights go off, the lights go on, and we're circling them like sharks. And I just remember just going over that segment, and I knew Bray from before that, but to work with him and see his mind work, he was so creative. He was such a gift to wrestling, honestly. And just to see kind of him in the element, I've dealt with him outside. He's always such a good dude outside, but to see him in his craft was a whole nother level.
So were there suggestions of what we should do, what we shouldn't do? Because I love the idea of Retribution and the Fiend working together, but it really didn't move on to something else, which I think it should have.
Well, just listening to it's like, oh yeah, if you do, I think he made a recommendation that we circle around like sharks. Like he was very imaginative and had like images in his mind that he wanted to get put forward, right? So he's almost like a director, like he's directing a movie. Yeah, unfortunately, that didn't go on much further than I think he attacked us in the middle of a match, maybe later that night. But I would have loved to have been able to work with him for something more long term.
Yeah, again, it was so much fun. And then recently, Braun Strowman returned. And when I see Braun Strowman, the first thought that goes into my brain for some strange reason is your child missing. No, that you're getting slammed by him right in the back of the head. What's it like getting hit by Braun Strowman? Because I imagine it doesn't feel too good.
No, that was worse than an F5.
Wow.
I couldn't see it coming. That was the story with that is the original plan for that spot was that we were going to do the walkout. His music was going to hit. We were going to get that reaction shot, which I see every week. Everybody sends me the GIF every week.
Yes.
And we were going to slowly turn around, and then he was going to bow over us. But if you watch the video back, he does not wait for us to turn around, and he just bows over us. So we got shoot blown out. And what was funny is in that segment, I had a lunchbox, and the whole segment was based around this lunchbox. So if you go back and you look, I'm holding this lunchbox, which has a ham sandwich in it, which is not canon because I'm a vegetarian. But I had this ham sandwich, and I was walking to the ring, and he was supposed to knock us over, take the ham sandwich, and he was going to power bomb, I think, Mansoor or LA Knight, and he was going to take a bite out of the sandwich from the lunch that he stole from me. But because he blew us up prematurely, I lose the sandwich. The lunchbox goes flying into the crowd. And the entire rest of the segment, I'm crawling around and I'm looking for the lunchbox. And then I look in the crowd and somebody's like, it's over there. And I was like, give it back to me. And then Braun walks back over to me. He's looking for the lunchbox because it was very important that he ate this sandwich before this power bomb. And I was like, I'm sorry, it's gone.
Did anyone ever retrieve the sandwich in the lunchbox?
Somebody did get it back.
Okay.
But at the time, so it was Hunter's idea for this sandwich spot. And when the sandwich spot didn't happen, and it was so important to the segment, when I was walking back, somebody was like, hey, I got the lunchbox. And I was like, keep it. If I look like I freaking botched the sandwich spot on purpose, if I freaking sabotage the sandwich spot, I'm going to get fired.
Now here's the question. When someone did retrieve it and get it, was the sandwich still inside it?
I wouldn't know. I didn't open the lunchbox.
You stayed away. You're like, I'm not touching that shit. Get away from me.
I think I took it and threw it back.
Wow. So someone has an old ham sandwich inside of a lunchbox right now inside their house behind them.
What a memory.
What a great, yeah. What do you have? Oh, I have the Rock's autograph. What do you have? Oh, I have Stone Cold Steve Austin beer. What do you have? A ham sandwich.
A ham sandwich.
Well, hey, that's an awesome story. And again, thank you so much for coming on again, talking about your traveling around the world. And of course, what's next for you? What is up for you?
We've got a lot of things planned for the near future. We're very excited. We're going to Japan at the beginning of June for Great, which is my dream. If you look in the back, I have an entire collection of anime figurines because I am the biggest Japan mark. So this will be my first trip to the land of the rising sun, and I'm very excited. But beyond that, we have a couple of other things that I can't talk about, but just stay tuned.
Oh, man. Now, you say we can't talk about it, but I do have one question now because you kind of inspired me a little bit. TNA has been somewhere that we've seen a lot of great tag teams pop up in, and obviously AEW. Has there been a discussion, or is there a desire, or are you enjoying this roller coaster ride, or do you I want to plant myself in one spot?
We have loved the indies. We've had such a good time. And we want to continue to have a good time. We like the creative freedom and being able to do that. Obviously, I've got all these kids that I have to take care of. So stability would be nice. So, we're keeping all options open. We've been talking to everybody, honestly. We've been backstage at TNA. We've talked to people all over the place. So actually, one of the things I didn't mention that I'm very excited for is next week we had the opportunity at DPW to wrestle the Motor City Machine Guns, which is a personal dream match for me and Mansoor. So they're still with TNA, right? Or is it
they just left.
They just left. Well, either way, they're TNA guys in my
Yeah. We know them from TNA, yeah. Former world champions, X-Division champions, tag team champions. They've done it all in the wrestling business.
The greats, yeah.
Well, I am excited to see what happens next, and I hope the stability. And, as Heath Slater said, I got kids, and so do you. And I have 3 kids as well, and paying the bills is the most important thing, obviously, to those children. So, again, thank you, though, for raising all that money for Soft Ground Wrestling, and hopefully you can have a tutorial video of how to build a ring and then we can watch you do this. And I'm
Fortunately,
excited.
I've had plenty of experience building rings. You spend the majority of your time in the performance center taking down and putting up rings. So I'm a bit of an expert when it comes to that.
So Monday's promo class, Tuesday's build ring, Wednesday.
Well, when we would do house shows on the weekend, we had to set up and build the rings and take them down before and after the show every week. Like, so it was 3 times a week.
So everybody does that, or is a select few do that?
It's as you're a veteran, you have a better job than building a ring.
So Samoa Joe, say when he was in NXT, wasn't building the ring.
I'm sure he was at one point, but at some point, then he started moving on to something like the lights or the curtains.
I can't imagine going and buy a hot dog or like a beer and there's Samoa Joe. Oh, hello. Has anyone ever told you look like Samoa Joe? I hear that a lot. Here you go, kid.
They did that. So obviously, for guys like Joe, guys that had been in the business for a very long time, they would keep them out of sight because that would just be a distraction from the rest of the show. But it sounds so bush league. They'd have us work like security. And, I wasn't, it's not like I was doing nothing before I was in WWE. So that was also a bit of a distraction sometimes when I was wanding people at the door. They were like, oh, I know you.
You're like, nope, no, you don't.
Nope. I'm just a security guard.
I'm just a security guard.
The funny thing is nobody knew that it was just kind of part of the job because they'd be like, hey, when are you going to get in the ring? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know.
I'll see you like in an hour, I believe, according to the schedule. Hopefully. Man, yeah. Now you got my brain. It's like Tiffany Stratton. I can imagine sitting on security and someone just be like, what's happening?
Yeah. So things have changed, obviously, since the pandemic. I don't think they do those. They call them coconut loops nearly as much. I think they do them like every other week.
Yeah,
and mostly in select venues. So I'm not sure exactly what the layout is there anymore, but I imagine they have a lot of people there, so it's like a lot of worker ants that are able to do stuff for them.
Well, that's amazing. I thank you for sharing those stories as well. And of course, I think someone back behind you is bored and either wants to clothesline you or actually, have a party, have a dance party. I think I'm gonna go get my baby up so I can have a dance party. Yeah. Oh, look, now we got dancing going on. I love it so much. Well, Mace, Matt, thank you so much for being here again, sharing your story and your inspiring tale of raising money for soft ground wrestling. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Now go entertain and put on a tutu and have a dance party back there, because I'm definitely going to do that with my daughter in a second. Have a good one.